Put you in defensive, and I'm going to make you offensive doctrine. I can't, because you have no slots. Okay. Because you took charismatic. Well, Wibble. Well, once you hit level 4, I can give you one. Are we going to be able to hold here? That is the question. I think this is one of the few instances where I might actually be willing to do a last stand. Russian state declared war on the Don-Kuban Union, unless of course you send me some reinforcements or you take out these. The crisis on the Don-Kuban Union, a state created by the Cossacks when the German support for the Kolchak Putsch in 1925, was widely expected to be Russia's first target since the Russian state began to recover from its economic and political instability. These predictions have been proven right, as the diplomatic crisis has now broken out over the fate of the Terek Cossacks in the east of the country. The crisis has escalated into a war between the Cossacks and Russia, and the world watches with bated breath as resurgent Russia flexes its military might. I'm winning! It's gone green! I didn't even need to go into defensive mode. It's because he arrived back from Constantinople, isn't it? He is personally leading the charges. And there we go. Desert combat training. Done. We've got the Camel Corps. Which has led to the Camel Corps. Unfortunately, my own camel units are now slightly... we have one cavalry. Actually, we can replace you now with camels. And now these guys are just better. And now I need to start adding motorized artillery. That's going to be the next step. I think I need to start buying in aluminium too. Who am I buying my steel from? I'm buying it from Germany. Not anymore, I'm not, you traitorous people. I'm going to buy it from... I mean, I do have convoys. I can use them. You know what? I'll buy from the PSA. And then here we will buy from the PSA. Yeah, I like that plan. Russia declared war on Alash Order. And now I am holding this position on my own. Marvellous! Right, and now I can choose another focus. So we could do Army Aviation Command, which would give their experience. We could get Army experience from this, which would allow me to add support artillery to the camel divisions, which would give them some very much needed oomph. Or we can start working on our economy. Well, we can renovate the Sublime Port. Every Islamic country would gain opinion of us. Would also give us a bunch of political power. Which I do like the idea of. You know what, let's do that. Although used as a nickname for the central government of the Ottoman Empire, the Sublime Port of the Bab-i-al-Ali also refers to the entrance of the ministries across Topkapi. Sadly, many of these buildings were badly burned in the fire of 1911, and as such there was a relocation of many of the former inhabitants to the Dolmahabache. With restorations completed, the foreign ministry can finally return. Well, that may well help us in the future if these guys are thinking of doing anything hostile. Japan announces her ambitions. Also, Iran has lost their claims on me. So Iran is no longer an immediate threat. Though the situation in Japan has been critical since the peace with honour, with numerous economic crises, unrest and an ineffective response to German interventions in China, leading to the collapse of the autocratic Tanaka regime, the Empire of the Rising Sun managed to bounce back, albeit only as a regional power with its influence limited to East Asia. However, the Japanese seem determined to put the weakness to rest and have now announced their ambitions in seizing their place amongst the great powers once again, by force if necessary. Germany, with its own sphere in Asia, is unlikely to receive this news warmly. The really get all of the Arab nationalists on side. That's all of this. I don't think we... Oh no, we did a few. Yeah, we did a few. There's 20 in Baghdad. That's actually the biggest sector. So what I could do is enforce Ottomanish administration, which will drop a bunch of Arab nationalists, but get me those Turkish nationalists. And then I could drop the taxes in those regions to get them right back again. Democratic Ottomans, you mad lad. I know. Chat voted on it. You know, as good Democrats will do. I actually quite like this idea. We'll drop our Arab nationalist support, but we'll get it right back again, or at least to a similar level, once we've got the Sublime Port finished. Oh, I like it. Ah, they are defending there. I just couldn't see them. Too bad. Meanwhile, in Spain, where the rain is falling mainly on the plain. I'm going to say, let's go and take Houston. Houston, you're about to have a problem. And there is a militiaman here guarding this, so he's not going to get cut off. Just go and take Houston. It's unguarded. You know, like the order tells you. Vinci Federation to 2 states. Mysore has capitulated. Serbia has capitulated. So Austria does seem to be winning that fight. Yeah. Austria is about to get a lot stronger. It's a good thing that we befriended Bulgaria, so we have that extra buffer. Right, that's dead. That's as good as dead. And we've basically secured... No, it's not basically. We have secured Texas. Heck yeah. I was expecting that to be a way harder fight. And that's also just freed up all of these troops now. Fantastic. We still don't have a border with the CSA. Go for Arkansas next. I mean, taking out Louisiana and grabbing New Orleans would be amazing, but I'm just not convinced that we can make the crossings here. Whereas up here, there's no river crossing. You know what? I think that's what we're going to do. We're going to make a move for Little Rock. And then try and get to the river from the north. We're going to see a PSA win. I think we may well. Like I said, I think that a lot of this hinges on who controls Texas, and we control Texas. It is the swing state. New technology. What did we just finish? Ah, Cass! Brilliant! No. We already had Cass. No, we didn't. I was building the wrong thing. Now we'll have gas. Right, air doctrine, definitely. And that's 100% battlefield doctrine. And yes, I will spend the points. PSA naval invasion in England. These aren't naval invasions, these are uprisings. Asmin Aguirre y Salinas has announced that the cowardly Honduran nation could no longer withstand the pressure from the overwhelming presence of El Salvador. And this is actually going to be a really good thing for the PSA because these are all mountaineers which are freaking hard to kill. And if they can get into the Appalachians and actually secure Massachusetts, that's like industrial heartland. It's also going to pull troops away from the AUS front, which is actually more useful. Alright, I'm going to rename this to Spain. And this to USA. And this to India. I know it says them, but... Actually, no, that's not... Oh, that's... That's a weak spot. Let's have you move over here. And then hopefully we can use the momentum to push across the river here. Oops, that's supposed to be control. Ah! No, it was not. There we go. The fall of Nizwa. Although the troops under the command of Admiral Ralph Pasha were sent to defend the entirety of Muscat and Oman from the encroaching forces of Ibn Saud, the strong resistance of the Omani interior against Ottoman troops and their soil has led them exerting little protection outside the urban centres of the Muscati coastline. The tribes loyal to the Oman of Nizwa have stubbornly continued fighting the Ikhwan on their own, but have earlier today forced to surrender to Ibn Saud. When the capital fell just after a 2-week siege, gruesome reports of Ikhwan soldiers gutting open Ibadi resistance fighters and the trail of destruction left in their wake, most notably the Nizwa, which was burnt to the ground, has frightened the Ottoman detachment and the Sultan of Muscat alike. Ralph Pasha, believing that the only way to protect Muscat is greater Ottoman commitment to the theatre, has requested further reinforcements from Basra and has drafted plans to sideline the Sultan and establish the Ottoman army as the real authority on the ground. Having lost a significant portion of their fighting power, there is little that the Muscans can do to resist, but many in Constantinople have expressed their caution at further overextension, instead calling for a retreat towards Basra. We're not even in the war, because this was a fight that they started. The Sultanate of Najd becomes the owner and controller of Oman. Yemen becomes the controller of Darfur. Muscat becomes a puppet of me. Ottoman reinforcements arrive in Muscat. Or we cancel the guarantee of independence. So that goes to Yemen, which is our puppet anyway. We take control of that, and then they get this. Or we cancel the guarantee and refuse further involvement. Of course, if we take control of Muscat as a puppet, they may well attack us again. But I think we could probably manage that war. I mean, we've been preparing for it for long enough. But, as always, this is a democracy. So maybe this is working as scripted. And this is going to be a 1-minute vote, because the last one was only supposed to be a 1 minute. Okay, get your votes in. Vote, vote, vote. Should we maintain our involvement, and in fact escalate the involvement, or should we not? A good bait to take Saudi land. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking here, because if tensions with Egypt are going to continue and tensions with the MOJ is going to continue, I'd kind of like to get Saudi pacified before that becomes a real issue. Oh wow, this is such a close selection. Wow. Okay. I'm astonished at how close this is. Oh, it's starting to swing a bit more. Oh, you ruined it. For a long time, There was a 2% for recalling the troops and a 98%. However, it was ruined by chat because several people decided to back the recalled troops and they got a whopping 5% support, meaning 95% of you are saying support Ralph Pasha. So the support will continue. Recount, revote. Unfortunately, this has just lost us all of our political power. And there we go. Here is the outcomes. They took Oman. We kept Muscat. And Yemen took over Dhofar. We got ourselves a puppet. I'm okay with that. Meanwhile, over here. Ooh, they're attacking me. Well, that's rather juicy. Asim Pasha has been wounded. That is unfortunate. Go and grab that. Actually, no, don't, because apparently they're leaving. Brazil wins the World Cup. I want to see if anyone supports us here. They don't. The crowd goes wild in Brazil as the host nations upset the world of football. Uruguay reign lasted since the first World Cup, and it seemed to be continuing as they were up 1-0 at half-time in the final against the hosts. However, Brazil's pressure resulted in 2 goals in the second half, and the Batatais, the goalkeeper from the local club Fluminense SC, held his ground against the Uruguayan counter-offensive. History was made, and now 2 nations can claim the title of world champion. We congratulate the winners. What are the losses like in the American Civil War? Probably quite high. So, the PSA versus the AUS, they've lost 600,000. We've only lost 240,000, which is actually pretty good going. CSA versus PSA, we've only lost 20,000. They've lost 60,000. And then, actually the big one isn't going to show, which was a USA versus those. Because the USA actually did a ton of damage. Meanwhile, we're preparing to move on Little Rock. Flourishing coffee house culture. An old tradition of many Ottoman men, the habit of enjoying a cup of coffee with friends and acquaintances is flourishing as never before. Much like the Parisian cafes impacted the development of social thought in the arts and French culture, these houses serve as a gathering point for the Ottoman cultural elite to discuss and ponder the issues of life, the empire and the finer arts. Whilst not all products of this are positive, complaints from many a wali about the laziness and bad influence these places have on the work ethic are almost a daily occurrence in Constantinople. They are a testament of a more open and free society. Can I get another cup? Cheers. Besides, I thought the Turkish liked tea. Don't they drink tea through the sugar cubes? Has Oman received a new focus? I doubt it. I mean, they have a focus. Ralph Pasha mission. So this has become available since. However, this will require us to take Oman. Evil Snowball wants me to drink some tea. I think that can be arranged. Lovely. Alright, the attack to the south of Little Rock is going on nicely. Mongolia has capitulated. Mark Leek has won. Meanwhile, in Spain, 2 Sicilies are attacking. You know what? I would like to support that. Be nice if Ireland joined in. Oh, we're pushing back against the NTFAI over here. That's great. I think we're finally starting to win. Yes, the NTFAI is losing to the kingdom. Order restored in Oman. While Oman still labours under Ottoman control, the Omani military has asserted enough control over its borders that a semblance of autonomy is now possible. This is not independence, far from it, but it does mean they no longer have to rely on Ottoman troops to secure their borders, and are thus not so tightly under our control. They are no longer considered an occupied puppet. That's okay. They are still a puppet. Oh, there's Yemen. There we are. Nicaragua has capitulated. Osman Aguirre y Salinas has announced that the cowardly Nicaraguan nation could no longer withstand the presence of the overwhelming presence of the El Salvadorans. Hungary has capitulated. Austria took 11 states, Illyria took 2, Galicia Lodomeria took 1, Romania took 1. Oh, Romania was on their side? No, Romania still... Was Romania fighting Hungary at the same time that Romania, Serbia, and Greece were fighting Austria? Is that why Hungary just collapsed? Must be. It was a three-way war, huh? Dominican Republic have capitulated to Haiti. Little Rock, Arkansas has fallen. I don't want you going north. North is across rivers. Rivers are bad. Camels don't like rivers. Nationalist takeover in the Netherlands. The Netherlands has long been an island of political centrism and an ocean of leftist ideologies and machinating imperialists. All that changed, however, with the rise of the Verbond van Nationaal Herstel, or the VNH. The so-called Alliance of National Recovery is an ultra-nationalist movement dedicated to restoring Dutch pride and expunging the nation of syndicalist influence in the wake of the Black Monday crisis. The growing popularity of the VNH has culminated in becoming the largest party in Parliament. However, it failed to get a majority in the election. Not to be outdone by the rivals, Landwacht paramilitaries today marched on the Binnenhof, terrifying the rest of Parliament into submission and beginning a dictatorship. That doesn't sound very Dutch. Can you recruit in the puppet countries? Not ask for troops, but recruit. I think so. Yes, yes we can. But only from Muscat. The others we can't. Okay, so we can get a 100% bonus on getting 1939 guns ahead of time. I am sorely tempted by this. Do it. 127 days. Fine. Alash Order has capitulated. Russia has taken them out, and the Islamic Federation of Turkestan. You know what, when you get... Oh man, these guys are getting a lot of experience. Meanwhile, in Spain... No, that way and that way. Oh, they're attacking out? Let's keep their organization low if we can. As soon as we have organization back again. I'm trying to bloody fight, damn it. Keep their organization low. It's your main chance here, people. Oh, they took this. Damn it. Fine, we'll stay and be defensive. Is synthetic rubber on my agenda? No, I plan to join the Entente. I'll just be able to import it. I have a port on the Persian Gulf. If I need to cut off the Mediterranean, I can. Invasion of Kasab. Townsmen and otherwise quiet Kasab were rudely awakened by the presence of Iranian detachments on their shore this morning. As in yet another move of mounting tensions in the Arab Gulf, the government of Tehran has seemingly unilaterally taken control of the entire Strait of Hormuz. The occupation has been without bloodshed, seemingly being led by the Iranian cruiser Persepolis, where shortly after 6 AM a group of 5 lifeboats were disembarked and sent towards the harbour of Kasab. After a short kerfuffle in the small Muscati garrison of Kasab Castle, the Muscatis surrendered and the Iranian flag was hoisted on the battlements to signify a new ruler of the peninsula. This blatant act of aggression has cut off our dominions from the Gulf for the traditional partners in India. It's caused great consternation in Basra and Baghdad, where officials are demanding an immediate response to the threat, showcasing the strength of the Ottoman fleet and giving the Iranians a warning they won't soon forget. Set sail for Kasab! Well, we cannot risk war with Tehran. Tehran has been asking for a fight for a while. Remember, they dared make claims on our territories. They were backing the Marsh Bedouin, the Marsh Arabs, against Assyria. I mean, Assyria definitely overstepped their boundaries, but it was a two-way street, that one. And those were Iranian-backed. Or we could say, we've still got internal problems. But this was an undeclared act of hostility against a sovereign part of the Ottoman Federation. I'm going to make this a 2-minute vote because this is kind of a big one. This one's important. Do we set sail for Kasab and protect Ottoman interests? Or do we de-escalate? How was Muscat resolved? We reinforced them. So Muscat is now a puppet of ours. We only control the coast, but it's a puppet. We can expand out from there. So get your votes in. Every vote will count here. This is a big one. You definitely want to make your voices heard for this. So get your votes in. Vote, vote, vote. Locksmurfin wants me to drink some tea. Alright then. And while that is counting up, Rookie, Bullishix, Half-Life 4 Life 2, Arios, and Mr. Beachberg, thank you very much for the follows. Welcome to the channel. And Obsidian Rose has come in with an 8-month Twitch Prime resubscription. Thank you very much for that, Obsidian Rose. Very much appreciate the ongoing support there. Thank you. And good to see so many of you here again today. Welcome to the stream if this is your first time. It is always a pleasure seeing so many faces here. So hello. Oh wow, this is such a close vote, everyone. Like, every single vote will matter here. We're on the precipice of making history. Like, get your votes in. Vote, vote, vote. So close. 1%. 1%! Said no war with Iran, which was literally one vote. 99% of you, however, have been rattling those sabers. You have been sharpening those knives. You have been gathering for a fight. Set sail for Kasab! Iran abandons the Musaddam Peninsula. Seemingly scared off by the Ottoman fleet, the Iranians have packed up their bags in Kazab and returned to Persepolis. With the Iranian presence removed from the peninsula, the question remains as to its future. The Sultan of Muscat has proven utterly incapable of defending against even the smallest of armies, and with rising importance of the Hormuz Strait in the global economy, being a vein that connects Iraqi and Bahraini oil to the world, some have asked themselves whether it wouldn't be better for our security if a permanent Ottoman garrison were established on the peninsula. Which I'm guessing is this bit. Yeah, that's Kazab. So the Strait of Hormuz necessitates a strong Ottoman presence. And we become the owner and controller of Kazab. Or we give it back to Muscat. Bearing in mind that Muscat is still an Ottoman protectorate. So do we want to assume direct control, or do we want to continue with our policy of decentralization? Which, remember, has been the founding premise of everything that the Federation has been doing. We trust in our allies. Huzzah! We support them to the hilt if they get threatened, but they are, after all, the legitimate power in this area. That's what we were fighting against Iran here for. Restoring legitimate power. The question here is whose power is legitimate? Is it Muscat or is it Ottoman? Alright, we'll make this a 1-minute vote. And vote. Get your votes in. Vote, vote, vote. Bussy coming in with an 18-month resubscription. Always a pleasure seeing you there, Bussy. How are you doing? Ottomans are OP. This is legit being a fun playthrough. Like, ever since we got rid of Ataturk, it's been kind of like, what the hell is going on here? I quite enjoy this. Don't quite understand what the reason not granted to the puppet's supposed to be. It's because the puppet just folded. They didn't even fight back. They just like, yeah, fine, it's yours. Not that they have a particularly strong army. And also, they're supposed to be our protectorate. Like, if someone steps on them, we step on them back, but harder. So, vote, vote, vote. Get your votes in. The real question here is whether we directly control it with Ottoman soldiers or whether we entrust Muscat to hold it and then intervene if necessary. I remember the co-op we did 2 years ago now where I was the Ottomans. Hard game but still really fun. Who was I playing as in that one? Oh, that was the Central Powers game, Great War. You were the Ottomans, I was Germany, then Nigel was Austria or something like that. Okay, so Tanks Ducks, 21,000 channel points invested, and there was still only 2% in this. 49% of you voted in one direction, 51% of you voted in the other. And the strong Ottoman presence won it with 51, so we are maintaining control because it is such a vital network for the Strait of Hormuz. However, this is betraying our allies, because this is legitimately theirs. And Muscat could have gained a bunch of influence, which would have made them a heck of a lot easier to integrate. Now we probably can't. So much for the decentralization. Our true colours are starting to shine through here. Although the Unification and Co-Education Act was deservedly cast aside by our government, there has nonetheless been a group of reformers who see great harm in complete abandonment of the central education standards. They fear not so much for the matters like language, religion, or customs, but rather technical expertise both on a university and lower level. To remedy what they see as a massive shortage, they therefore propose the creation of several federal education institutes to complement the local ones, who are subject to the provincial assemblies. At these schools, in their writings referred to as the Imperial Institutes of Technology, students would be subjected to a secular and science-based program, supervised by the Federal Assembly. Furthermore, these schools would also offer practical education for teachers, maintenance crews, and even farmers in the hope that these will then distribute their acquired knowledge to the people in their hometowns once they return. Much protest from the Conservative wing has been, however, heard surrounding the secular nature of these schools, depicting the institutes as thinly veiled attempts to indoctrinate its students to then spread the message of heresy to their friends and family. Splendid idea! Of course this pisses off the Conservatives, but what doesn't piss off the Conservatives? The nice thing about this is it will modify the widespread illiteracy and I think actually make it 0. Oh no, it's still 7.5. So it'll be down to just 5% as opposed to the 15% we started with. Or a federal level should under no circumstance interfere with local affairs. So again, this is another question about the decentralization. However, one of the established pillars of our government is education, and education has, for a large part, been done from the federal level. I have a feeling there was a vote which went local yesterday, though. Actually, yeah, I am curious about who voted in that previous election, because a lot of points went into that one. 23,000 and 31,000. Yeah, there was much higher spending on the strong Ottoman presence side. So the Plutarchs won it. Okay, so the federal education reform. What was the vote yesterday, though? No, we haven't voted on this one yet. I have a feeling we did do a regional one to say that we could continue allowing regional education so that culture wasn't interrupted. Right, that's when we got rid of the Unification Co-Education Act. So this is asking whether we want to continue the more regional education, which is the system that we have in place right now, because we got rid of the centralized education. I was completely wrong. We don't have a central education system. This is saying, do we want to restore Imperial Institutes of Technology, which complement the locals, rather than completely subvert them. So do we want to start allowing a little bit of federal education, or do we want to maintain it entirely at the state level? Alright, and vote. So a splendid idea is, yes, we should impose these federal education institutes, or absolutely not. Education is a local thing, and should be maintained as a local thing. Sad Owl redeemed a drink tea. Alright then. Oh yeah, you're right. These are still subject to provincial assemblies. Science and secular rather than local. But it's still a federal interference in state affairs. Sir Squire contributed 2,000 channel points. Thank you very much for that, Squire. Saying, do not interfere. Lost by 14%, or with 14%. 86% of you, however, said that this was a splendid idea. So a bunch of the Conservatives again joined the opposition, but Turkish nationalists joined the coalition, which is good, because Turkish nationalists really don't like us. Nowhere near as much as the Conservatives, admittedly. And I have a feeling that this uprising has already happened. So I don't really care so much about pandering to the Conservatives. We're beyond that now. I hope. And we do have a new national focus, which has apparently been ticking by for a while. So let's take a look. At this point, we could... Oh no, the Arab nationalists still love us. Conservatives have joined the opposition, so that doesn't gain us anything. Reform the gendarmerie, which would give us more political power, which I think would be a net positive. Or we can start finally working on our industry. Ooh, oil. Lots of oil, actually. Nah, we're not America. We're going to do the reforming the gendarmerie. After the abolition of the Janissary Corps in the 19th century, a variety of military organizations were established to ensure order and stability in the provinces of Rumelia and Anatolia. With the proclamation of the Tanzimat reforms in 1839, these organizations were combined into the Jandarma, the Ottoman Gendarmerie. This organization, however, suffers from an over-reliance on Turkish manpower and upper cadres, making it a prime target for reform. Gendarmerie, then industry. Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. Anyway, it is 9 o'clock. I think I'm going to end this one here. I will be doing a second stream, so that is going to be kicking off at 10, seeing as I'm not doing the multiplayer until midnight. So I'm going to take my break as scheduled. Well, not as scheduled. I'm going to take my break as normal, and then we'll resume this at 10 o'clock this evening. So if you're enjoying this, and you haven't yet done so, you should definitely hit that follow button so that you get those notifications when I'm live again in the future. If you're enjoying the series, if you're not enjoying the series, hit that follow button anyway. It's always nice to see your faces again, so come join us again. If you have really enjoyed this, then please do consider subscribing. Helps the channel out, lets me do more of this kind of content. Or you can, of course, check out the Patreon, which you can find at patreon.com/MordredViking. I do have a YouTube channel, which actually started this series today. So if you're wondering how on earth the Sublime Ottoman Federation came about, what on earth happened to Kemal Ataturk, then you should definitely go and check out that series over on the UpTubs right now, which is at youtube.com/MordredViking. I do have a Twitch. No, this is Twitch. Discord, which is where the community hangs out. They are a cool bunch, and it's always a real pleasure to see some new faces over there as well. So please do come and join us on the Discords. Tournament might not happen. One side is planning on backing out. Has it still been having problems? Thank you, Bussy. Mordred has a Twitch? What's the link to it? I know, crazy. Twitch.tv/MordredViking. Yeah, Shrewside wants out. Ew, that's unfortunate. Which would technically mean that both sides have then won a game. If that counts as a capitulation, I don't know if it necessarily should. If it's based on Kaiserreich just not being stable enough. Anyway, we should go and raid somebody else. I have a feeling I already know who this is going to be. Yep, definitely. Templin Institute is doing the Antares Confederacy. This is a fan-freaking-tastic system that he's got going. Basically, it's a ongoing series where they have a prologue up on their YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/Templin Institute, I imagine, which is like the introduction to the entire game, and it's got like screen grabs, it's got voiceover, it's got narration, it's got a proper story. Then he plays the game through the streams, then every month he uploads another video, which is like an in-person, again, narrated everything. It's really, really cool, and I really want to support that. So we're going to head over to Templin Institute. Definitely say hello from Mordred Viking. I'd love to see his chat erupt in the Viking raid, because the Vikings can into space. And in fact, I kind of like that. So Vikings can into space is what we are going to raid with. Let's make our voices truly known. So Vikings can into space, just like that. Copy and paste it for when we arrive. Say hello to Mark and the crew. And go enjoy, because seriously, it's a great, great system that he's got going. And if you are not aware of Templin Institute, go find out more, because it's definitely worth the time. Thanks everyone for watching. I'll catch you guys next time. to 10 o'clock this evening for some more of the Ottomans. Until then, goodbye.